Well over a year ago, I looked at Michael Porter Jr. and I asked one question. Can he be the next 3-level scorer that takes over the league? Can he be the next Kevin Durant? Unfortunately, injuries had something else to say. But after his disappointing 2022 season, he is turning things around and is off to a hot start this season. So today I'm here to answer one question. Is Michael Porter Jr. finally back? With the way he's been playing so far, it is starting to feel like it. Porter Jr. has been off to an incredible start this season, averaging 18 points and 7 rebounds per game. While it's not going to last, he's averaging 48% from 3 on 7 attempts per game. So let's break down Michael Porter Jr.'s entire skill set, look at his strengths, weaknesses, and his potential. Right away, the best part of his game is his elite outside shooting. Michael Porter Jr. has to have one of the best jumpers I've ever seen. It is quick, has a high release point, and he is incredibly consistent on it. I am serious when I say that MPJ has one of the most beautiful jump shots that I have ever seen. It is simply basketball perfection. But besides that, it is clearly going in and at an elite level this season. And with the way he is shooting and with how he looks so far, his back surgeries don't seem to be having a serious impact on him. But let's talk about his shooting a little more specifically. I promise I wasn't just fanboying when I mentioned him and Kevin Durant in the same sentence. MPJ is standing 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan and a near unblockable shot. He has certainly taken some aspects from Durant's game. Something he has been elite at so far is the pull-up jumper on the break. Take a look at this shot right here and tell me this does not give the exact same energy as Durant's iconic shot. MPJ has mastered the pull-up jumper and so far he has been more than willing to let it fly. Like Durant, Porter has an incredible mid-range game. Whether it be a fadeaway jumper, a face-up, or off the dribble, his shot is near unblockable and when he gets going, it is incredibly hard to stop. While he definitely doesn't attempt the mid-range too often and it's not the most efficient shot in the modern NBA, he is definitely better than most at it. And I think it goes without saying, Porter is also highly effective when it comes to shooting in the corner or when coming off of the catch. And this leads me to the next part of his game where he was incredible at, his floor spacing and off-ball movement. Michael Porter Jr. is one of the most deadly transition players in the NBA, but unlike a Giannis or LeBron, his strengths come from his ability to stop his near 7-foot frame on a dime and pull it from mid-range or from 3. But beyond that, he has also been doing an incredible job when it comes to filling in the lanes and being open on the break. And it certainly doesn't help to have Nikola Jokic passing to you either. In the half court, I have found that he does a great job moving without the ball. Everything from quickly turning from the screener into the one setting the screen, slipping when the defense falls asleep, or just taking a few steps back to space out the floor and get an open shot. Porter Jr. is an absolute weapon without the ball in his hands. Next, let's talk about his ability to finish up close. As you can expect, he's a pretty solid finisher around the rim. However, this season, he hasn't been doing it at the rate I quite expected him to. In 2021, he was actually one of the best slashers in the league, finishing at the rim at a rate of 83%, but today that is down to being closer to 60%. Generally, when he has an open lane, he is pretty good when it comes to not overextending himself and finishing even amongst bigger, stronger competition. We haven't seen him around the rim as often this season. I imagine a lot of that has to be due with how well he is shooting the ball, but so far he has showed off everything from a floater to a finger roll to a hook shot. I wouldn't call him elite at it, but he is certainly not bad when it comes to attacking the rim. The last thing to talk about him offensively is his playmaking, and to be honest, he hasn't really demonstrated that too much this season, but with how the Nuggets are, I'm not too surprised at this. MPJ is a solid passer. More often than not, he makes the right decision, makes accurate passes, and there weren't too many times where I found him with tunnel vision or just refusing to pass the ball to an open teammate. His 1 assist per game looks low, and I would definitely like to see him receive some more playmaking opportunities, but overall, he has done a good job when it comes to taking care of the ball, and in an offense surrounded with playmakers, I'm not too surprised his passing gets overlooked. Michael Porter Jr. is a good passer, but he just isn't somebody that I would call elite. And the last great aspect of his game is his rebounding. He is great at getting putback buckets offensively, and on the defensive end, I notice he has a good tendency to grab the ball and push it up the court. He ranks around 40th in all forwards when it comes to rebounding totals, and I definitely think it could be higher than this if he was playing more minutes per game or didn't have to share rebounds with Nikola Jokic and Aaron Gordon. But Michael Porter Jr. is definitely a good rebounder. Now let's talk about the two less than desirable aspects in his game. The first one isn't as major, but MPJ really does not draw that many fouls. So far for his career, he is averaging less than 2 free throw attempts per game, and for someone that size, that is pretty abysmal. He definitely has the footwork to draw contact, and he definitely has the size to get contact down low, but I'm not sure if it has to do with his injury history or what, but when a player who scores and shoots as much as he does doesn't draw that many fouls, typically that is something you want to see improved. This isn't certainly a major flaw, but something he can do better at. But him not getting free throws may not be specific to just MPJ. The Nuggets are the 4th worst team in the league when it comes to drawing free throws, only taking 21 per game, so there's definitely a much larger issue than just Porter Jr. And to talk about his defense, I want to start off with saying something nice. Michael Porter Jr. has an incredibly high defensive potential. In his second season, he was a pretty solid shot blocker, and even now he is pretty good when it comes to contesting shots, and like I said earlier, being in position on defensive rebounds. Even right here, he actually has a lockdown possession on Curry. Like seriously, this is some of the best defense I have ever seen on someone this size guarding Steph Curry. And right here, we see him overextending a little bit, but through his length and athleticism, he's still doing a pretty good job and able to contest Buddy Hield. But those are some of the few bright defensive plays that I've been able to find for him. My real concern with MPJ comes from his lack of attention and his off-ball defense. I have found far too many examples of MPJ ball watching or seemingly just losing track of his man. Some of these examples are pretty good off-ball movement, but a defender in the NBA should not be giving up these sorts of attempts. It was pretty disappointing to see some of that for someone who I think who has high potential. His lack of attention to detail and losing track of his man almost in every single game is concerning. But this also leads me into our last subject, his overall potential. I stand by it that if he can fix some things on the defensive end, he can turn himself into a positive defender, and it never hurts to have a good shot blocker at the small forward position. But when we talk about his overall potential, I definitely do have some concerns. First, obviously, is MPJ's injury history. Back injuries are some of the worst ones in sports and can easily be attributed to ruining many promising careers. With MPJ missing his entire rookie season as well as the majority of last season with back injuries, there is some concern there. But to counter this, I will say he has appeared to have recovered well. The Nuggets may be keeping his minutes down right now, but as far as athleticism goes, this definitely looks like Porter from 2021 and not the one who scored less than 10 points per game last season. And speaking of scoring, I definitely think we can see more out of him scoring wise. He is a great shooter and I think is being utilized well, but ideally I think he could be getting more shots per game. But I will admit it is difficult for him to get shots off when he has to share the ball with two more talented scorers in Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. He has been highly efficient from all levels of the court, and I'm confident that he can get even better when it comes to slashing, just like how he was a few years ago. MPJ is definitely worthy of getting more than 13 attempts per game, however I'm glad that he's not rushing it, and in reality, Jokic, Murray, and Porter Jr. have not really played that many games together, so I think in time we can also see his field goal attempts rise naturally. While I don't think it's going to happen this season, I think he's more than capable of becoming an all-star player, and I could easily see him as someone who's the third, possibly someday even the second best option on a contending team. While he is 24 years old, you have to remember that MPJ has played much less basketball compared to others at his age. He only played 3 games in college, missed his entire rookie season, had a limited bench role his first true season, an incredible second season, and then played less than 10 games last season. So he definitely just doesn't have the same type of on-court experience compared to some other guys. While some people may see this as cause for concern, I see this as a sign that Michael Porter Jr. has more room to grow. MPJ, Jokic, and Murray have played less than 100 games together. That is barely just a season and a half. So when it comes to the core of Denver growing together, the only way I see for them is headed up. While he may never truly become this generation's Kevin Durant, Michael Porter Jr. may be the closest we have when it comes to emulating Durant's signature moves. Providing he remains healthy, I think he is going to have a long time in the league, and I foresee that he will be frustrating defenses for possibly the next decade. Even now, I think he is ready to take that next step, and I believe Michael Porter Jr. can be the deciding factor of making the Denver Nuggets a championship contender.